Hi everybody, welcome to Let's Talk Chiropractic. I'm Dr. John, this is Dr. Alex.
Hello.
My beautiful granddaughter said, I just want to be on TV. So this is Alayla. Hi girl.
Hi.
You know, tonight we're going to talk about a spontaneous show about what you're doing this time of the year. You know, Alex, I'm here 42 years. You're here over a year now already, right?
Mm-hmm.
How's it going? Pretty good?
Yeah, it's
Good.
it's all right.
Good. So what we're doing, we're going to talk about gardening, maybe walking your dog, exercising, traveling, vacations, just some practical do's and don'ts. I think a lot of people this time of the year, you know, I'm amazed. I'll get a patient, he's sleeping all contorted, and he'll say to me, why is my right shoulder hurting me? And when I sort of point it out to them, they have this eureka kind of feeling. So we're going to talk about practical things today that people do that maybe they'll get some good information from. Go get yourself a nice pizza. Come back and watch the rest of the show. Thank you. Welcome back to Let's Talk Chiropractic. I'm Dr. John with my buddy Dr. Alex. Let's talk about some practical things. So I'll start if you don't mind.
Sure.
This time of the year, a lot of my patients are raking. You know, raking stones, raking leaves, and that one bad thing about degenerated discs, when you twist, that repetition of raking or sweeping is not good for their backs. So a lot of them will say to me, John, in an MRI, I know I have degenerated discs. I was raking for an hour and now my back is killing me. They have numbness that goes down their legs, you know, they can't sleep. So we get them in alignment. It takes sometimes a month for it all to settle down. So if you're watching this show, in my opinion, you have a lot of raking to do. If you have a good back, go for it. But even myself, Alex, I'll do some yard work. Then I'll change it up. Maybe I'll go open up my pool. I'll come back to the yard work. Like I'll try to not do the same repetition raking. I had a girl, she raked for 4 straight hours and it really hurt her back. So if you're getting older, hire somebody. Let them do the raking for you. But raking, any kind of twisting activity is not good for a degenerated lumbar spine. So what's your topic? What's your tip to tell everybody about this summer's things coming up?
A lot of things change with the summer coming up. Of course, everyone wants to lose the winter pounds and now the COVID pounds, or in my case, just had another baby in the house pounds. I know I didn't get pregnant, but she's making the good food. I got to eat it. We're all trying to slim down. We're going to the gym. My recommendation, similar to with when you're raking, to have moderation, take breaks, switch it up, do different things, diversify. If you're going to the gym, if you're trying to work out, don't go right to what you were doing when you were at your best shape in your life. You know, that I see how many people a week do we see that's the exact thing they say. Or doing the same workout repetitively at a weight that's just too high. Try moderation first. You know, put your toes in the water before you dive in. You don't know how it's going to go until you start a little bit at a time. After getting back into the shape that maybe you were in back when you were working out, your body remembers. You can go back to doing more and more, but just on the first week, take it a little easy. Moderation is key.
You know, if you saw what I saw, one of the saddest moments in my practice, you have a girl who maybe does 24 sessions a week, let's say, of aerobic. She's an aerobic instructor. She's done it for 25 years. People have always said to me, look how good she looks. She's 50 years old and she's still doing it. But actually, you should see them when they get to be 55, 60. Arthritic knees, arthritic ankles, hip replacements. So when you say moderation, not just for that athlete, but long term, I had this one guy, he jogged 9 miles a day for like 30 years. And I used to always say to him, will you please, he said, John, I need it for my brain. I have an emotional tension. My mind only relaxes when I run. But now even he says to me, John, you were right. I'm cutting back on my activities because it's killing my joints.
Wow.
So long term, what you just said, even in a bigger picture, all of us never stop, keep active, but don't push as hard as, you know, us Americans are taught, you know, no pain, no gain. Let's go to the gym 5 days a week for 30 years. It catches up to people though.
Yeah,
it really does.
Yeah. Not just the short term, but yeah, the long term too.
Okay, my next topic, vacationing. I love working, but I love traveling. I love to see anything brand new to me, a new beach, a redwood forest, things like that. When people travel, though, they'll say to me, that hotel mattress was terrible, that there was a big indentation in the mattress, and they couldn't sleep, and it killed their back. So here's what we've done over the years. When I've traveled, and it's happened to me, where I'm on a mattress with my wife, and the mattress, you can almost feel, it's caved in. So I say, honey, I'm going to pull up the mattress. She goes to the closet. We fold a big blanket or a towel, and we fold it maybe 2 feet by 4 feet. We'll put it under the mattress.
Wow.
As it elevates that depression, at least then you could have a good vacation, get a good night's rest. Because a lot of my patients will say to me, well, I put a board under my mattress, but it didn't help. What I've seen, if you have an indentation, you put a board, everything is firmer, but the indentation is still there. So you have to put something under the mattress to elevate that indentation. So again, anybody who's traveling, I have some patients, they even take their pillows with them because they can't get used to the hotel pillow. So take your pillow with you in the car, but try to have a good, firm, level mattress on vacation. One more for you, then we'll take a break.
And when you're driving around, those long trips, flights, and all that, you got to get moving. You can't just drive 8 hours straight. That's tough. I used to do these trips down to Houston from Dallas when I lived in Texas, and that's just 4 hours. But if I didn't take a break in the middle, I would get out of the car after just 4 hours, feeling like I had aged 50 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't overdo it with the traveling, not having breaks either. Okay, for another topic, while we are walking our dogs all year round, I see especially at these times of years where we're starting to run around a little more, we're taking the dog to the dog park, we're going for a little longer journeys. If that dog's yanking you around everywhere, I mean this nicely, this dog has to be disciplined to be a little bit more respectful of you. How many times do you see people come in where their hips are out of alignment because the dog jerked them so hard?
And they never even think about the dog.
Right.
So you're right.
It's crazy. I've seen, a patient who I just fixed. This is the worst. I hate it when I just fix them and then they come in way sooner than I expected. And they said, you'll never believe it. I got tangled up between my dogs. They were running this way and that. Squirrels are everywhere. It's spring. Things are running everywhere. It feels like that's the most common hiccup I'm getting right now, where we have a patient on the right track, they're doing better, and then, their dog pulled them out of alignment.
I have patients who say to me, I have no kids, but my 2 dogs sleep in bed with me. And I'll say to them, how big are the dogs? So they get their phone out. Dogs are 120 pounds apiece. So you have a picture of the bed, queen size bed. Here's the wife, here's 2 dogs, and this husband is so scrunched at the end of the bed.
My gosh.
So it keeps knocking his neck or his back out. And when I say to them, I know you love these dogs. I love animals. I do not think a dog belongs in bed. And I know it's going to be a sore topic for some people watching the show. Our dog loves to go in his kennel at night to sleep. He does watch TV in bed with my wife now at times. And I always say to her, I don't want our dog's only like 35 pounds. But I just think these dogs, they took over the bed. And the human beings are all scrunched.
And by the way, a new trend coming out of, I think I had 10 in my class of 90, animal chiropractic. It's actually not good for the animal to be sleeping on that soft bed.
See?
They're not supposed to. So the animal's happier, and the husband's happier too.
Let's take our first break. Come on back. We have good practical stuff to talk about the next 7 minutes. Thank you. Welcome back to Let's Talk Chiropractic. Dr. Alex and I, we love what we do. And when you see thousands of patients like we do, you start to get like an education of what people do and don't. So let me talk about what everybody's doing now. Gardening. I have a garden, both flowers and vegetables.
Nice.
I think it's more work. When I rototilled it this past week, you take out all the weeds in the grass. I put in 10 40-pound bags of a soil that has a fertilizer in it. I rototill that in again. So then I wait a week or 2. You have to make sure there's no frost. So around here it's usually May 30th, but if I can get by my May 20th I did last year, you get an earlier harvest. So for those of you that are gardeners, repetitive bending. I've learned, Alex, that if I kneel too long, and I'm going to be 65 next month, if I kneel down too long, like planting a bunch of tomatoes, planting peppers and zucchini, my knees start to get so stiff. So again, I change it up. I'll rototill it now. I'll probably rototill again in a week, and maybe I'll plant 10 tomato plants. That's enough for, it takes me an hour. Right. The next day, I'll plant 30, cucumber plants or whatever. So, but repetitive bending is not good for the back. So if you can just change it up. I got a rototiller where I used to just get a grubbing hoe. And just all it is maybe 10 by 10 foot in my garden. It's not that, maybe 15 by 10 foot. So it's not that big, but some people come in, they have 70 foot by 30 foot gardens. And just as you bend to weed them, I can put newspapers. You don't want to be weeding all the time.
Right.
So a lot of the olden days, I used to live in this Italian place up in Hazelton. They plant all their plants. They used to put newspapers all around them. So as the newspapers decay, it keeps the weeds down, but that doesn't affect the plants. So some people buy the geotextile black and they put little holes for the plants. I just never buy that. I usually just use cardboard or I used to use grass cuttings, but we're afraid that the fertilizer on the grass will go into the plants because we like to keep it nice and organic. So gardening, all I'm saying, I think it's good for the mind to watch vegetables or flowers grow, but repetitive weeding, just like I said, every Saturday I weed my gardens for like maybe 30 minutes. So if I weed them if I let it go and it gets like too big, then it's a bigger job to do. So you got to just keep after them, but don't bend too often because bending at the waist, because people say, Doc, I picked up 100 sticks this year, and I bent, and I bent, and I bent, and now they can't get back up again.
And how often do you hear them saying that they went and did all the weeding for a month at one Saturday, and it's 3 hours of weeding rather than...
Yeah, I think when they do it like that, it's no fun.
Moderation is key. Moderation is key, even with the weeding, and that means staying on top of it. If you want to have a garden, yeah, great. But don't kill yourself doing all the work in one day when it should be spread out.
I find like a mental, 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday morning, the birds are chirping, I'll take a sip of coffee, go out and do the weeding for 30 minutes, sit down and watch the sun, then we go swimming in our pool all day. So to me, gardening, if you do it, and again, that's why I don't have a big one. I'm not one of these people that want to spend, some people they give them to all their neighbors. That's beautiful people. I have a couple patients that I give them like maybe 20 tomatoes a week. So I give them tomatoes, but overall, most of it is just for us to have our own vegetables and things like that.
Go well around here.
What's your idea?
Right, so with summer, the sun's going to start coming out again. We're already starting to get, I think we got 13 and a half hours this past week of sunshine. We get up in this area, in Hazelton, we get somewhere around 15 to 15 and a half come mid-June. So that's a lot of sun and a lot of outdoor activities, going to Knoebels, doing all these things, having fun, but it's very important to stay hydrated. I can hear it in their mouth. When they come in and they open their mouth, and I can hear that little sound of a not well-moistened mouth. So I tell these patients, I go, what's your relationship with water? And it's sad to me when they say something like, well, water's so bland, water's so plain, I can never drink just plain water. I tell people, if you really want to feel how awesome water is for your body, when you wake up, you have less water in your body than you went hopefully 8 hours. You hopefully went 8 hours, and then you wake up and you haven't had water that whole time. You have to use the bathroom, whatever, you come out. I encourage you to drink a lot of water in the morning because then you'll feel that maximum impact of going from a little dehydrated to being fully hydrated. And these people, when they come in and I hear that noise where I'm saying, hey, you sound dehydrated, They start to get on the edges of their mouth, they might get that little white from just their saliva not having enough fluid in it. And I'll say, right now, you're dehydrated. Drink a lot of water. And they'll say, oh, it'll upset my stomach. And I said, that's not okay. What's wrong with your stomach? Well, I like soda. Well, that stuff's being churned around when you drink the water. It's the soda that's hurting you. It's not the water. So I have them drink a lot of water. And it's like over the next 2 minutes. That's how long it takes water to go through your system. It's about 2 minutes. So over those 2 minutes, just feel your body perk up. It's incredible. And then if you're out in the sun and you're sweating and whatnot, you need a lot of water. These people who never drink water, only the super sugary soda, iced tea, energy drinks. I can't even, I can't imagine how they're still alive.
Good. It's good suggestion for them.
Yeah, I know.
Good. Lastly, before next break, amusement parks. A lot of my patients, I'm afraid of roller coasters. I don't like them, but my wife and kids love them. So we go to these parks. I sit in the shade and just patiently wait for them. That's why I like Knoebels. You don't have to pay to go in because I'm not a big ride person.
Right.
But know your body. Dr. X, I want patients they'll say to me, I went on a roller coaster. I've had neck fusions. I have spurs and bad discs. And I didn't think this roller coaster would affect me. And now my arms are numb. So I tell them, be your own doctor. When you have that kind of damage, stop going on roller coasters. They hate to hear that, but I think if people are ignoring the damage that's in their body, if you're one of those people that love a roller coaster, you have a good, healthy spine, go for it. But if you've had a bad whiplash or past surgeries, part of life to me is saying, like I used to be an avid, go to the gym every day, jog a lot. I gave it all up now. I want my joints to last me in this office as long as I can. So though I keep working pretty long, and I go for walks with my Alayla and my dog, I don't jog, I don't lift weights. Pushing on patients 50 hours a week, lifting peat moss and stuff, that's enough weightlifting for me anymore. So again, if you go to amusement parks, all I'm asking is know your limitations. If it's a hot 90-degree day at Dorney, take breaks, drink water like you said. I have patients, they go, and the next day, oh my God, I couldn't get out of bed. So again, you almost have to pace yourself. Okay. But let's stop for a break, and then we'll come back for the last 7 minutes. So go splash some water on your face and come back in a few minutes. Thank you.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Chiropractic. I'm Dr. Alex. We have Dr. John and Malayla here. We're talking about summer tips. So a big deal is what kind of fats, what kind of nutrients are you taking into your body? There was a big study done, I guess it was somewhere between 2010 2012, where they were just talking about treating osteoarthritis using only nutrition. And the big finding in the study was, well, pretend you have a heart issue. Treat it like it's a heart issue. So what ends up happening is you balance your fats. So during the summer, when you're having all these nice barbecues with all this delicious meat and all these delicious things, you got to remember the oils, you got to remember your fishes, you got to remember your vegetables. So you can grill asparagus. It's delicious. It's nutritious. It's awesome. And it's not full of those. We're worried about the fats that are saturated. So that's solid at room temperature. So if the room temperature, everything's been out, it's out of the fridge, it's off of the stove. If it's solid, like butter, like bacon, lard becomes solid, bacon fat, like cheese, those types of things, you want to do a 1-to-1 ratio with the fats that are liquid at room temperature. These are your olive oils. These are your fish oils. These are your avocado oils. These are delicious, delicious linoleic oil. Wonderful things. And the Italian here, I think olive oil is amazing. All these delicious meals that you can have, like antipasta and stuff, you can be generous with the olive. You can balance out the cheese and the meat that's in there. You want to get about a 1-to-1 ratio.
This isn't really just a summer topic, but many of my patients, they're not aware of I'm going to talk about posture while they're sleeping. And I want you to talk about then posture while they're awake. So for example, 12% of Americans sleep on their backs. So if you can sleep on your back with one pillow, that is the best. No hip compression, no shoulder compression. But again, if I'm exhausted, Alex, I can sleep on my back. But usually I'm like 64% of Americans side sleeper. A side sleeper should have a thicker pillow because we want my head to be straight with my spine. So if my shoulder's on the mattress, I need a pillow as broad as my shoulder. So I actually have 2 pillows at home. I might sleep for 3 hours, switch to the other side, and I even put a pillow in between my knees. But what I bring that up for is a lot of side sleepers, they'll sleep sort of like this. And they'll say to me, John, my wrists are killing me. So when I walk in the room and someone says to me, right here it hurts me, I'll say to them, do you sleep on your right side? Yep. Do you bring your arm up? Yep. You could see it in their face, like, oh my God, he knows already. Exactly, because the point we talk about, don't just fix the patient, figure out what they're doing. So when they leave this office thinking, wow, not only did he fix me, now that I know not to sleep on my side, but the worst position, I used to be a stomach sleeper. When I went to chiropractic school, I was always on my stomach. And when they showed me, it took me 2 months of like not sleeping well to break the habit. So stomach sleepers out there, you always twist your neck all night long, you will eventually develop headaches. And what happens to them, Alex, I get these patients, they'll say to me, for 10 years, John, I have been twisting my own neck, and they're a stomach sleeper. So they're trying to alleviate their own muscular tension, but the more they stretch it, because here's the question, if that's helping you, are you stretching your neck less often? No, I used to stretch it once a month, once a week. Now I do it 6 times a day. So number 1, do not sleep on your stomach. Break the habit, I don't care how long it takes you. Number 2, do not stretch your own neck. It makes it worse. They go to these gym classes and these instructors always tell people, at yoga, if you have a perfect neck with nothing out of alignment, neck stretches are good. But if you have a neck that's misaligned, and a lot of us do, neck stretches are bad.
And we can go on to postures while you're awake, right? So things like when you're seated in this very office waiting room, and Dr. John happens to be walking by, and he catches you doing this. He might have a seat next to you and have a little talk with you because, my goodness, you're giving us a lot of work to do is one thing you're doing. It's not going to lead to long-term success. It's not a good strategy.
Your back is good, but I had a bad disc problem. So whenever I travel in my car or even in like a vehicle, like a plane, I put a pillow in my lumbar area.
Yeah.
So we went to California last week for my daughter's beautiful wedding. On the plane, I just took an extra like sweater with me. I don't think they have blankets on planes because of COVID like they used to, but I put it in, and so at least I was able to sit up nice and straight on that plane we had a 6-hour delay and then a 6-hour flight. So it's a long time sitting, and that's so proper arch, because you're right. Remember, I was walking through this room just last week, and you were busy, and I think I was done already for the day. Your young patient, what is she, about 21?
Yeah, she's 21, 22.
What I started telling her, she was sitting on top of her foot. And the reason I brought it up, I told her the story.
That's right.
I said, I had this CEO from Lehigh Valley that called me once. His son for 7 years had back pain. No specialist. They went to all these fancy sports doctors in Philadelphia. None of them could figure it out. I walk in my adjusting room, guess what he's doing? Sitting on top of his foot.
Oh, man.
So when I said to him, I said, what work? I'm a computer geek, he said. I said, how? He goes, I sit like this 50 hours a week.
Oh my goodness.
So by just stopping that and adjusting him, it solved what all these specialists couldn't. So my point is, we're like detectives. So when I told this girl that story, she gets this cute smile like, I get it. I'm not going to sit on my foot. And then that's when you walk out. And you're like, what are you talking about? I said, I just wanted to catch her in the moment, because you might adjust her and not know that she sits on top of her foot.
No, I love it. I love it. Yeah.
So that's where you sort of laughed.
Caught him in the wild.
You're like, because I was busy, closing at the end of my day, and I thought, let me just tell her that's the story that I told her.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. So in conclusion, folks, posture is critical. I think so many people, orthopedic doctors have taught me, even if you sit like this, they'll say there's still more of a tug on the hip sockets. They've taught me, like, our legs, elbows, because a lot of people, they'll sleep like this all night. They come to me when they're 40 with chronic elbow tendonitis. So the goal is I try to sleep now with a pillow on my side that I keep my elbow straight. So the point is, if you want to have a beautiful life when you're 70, 80, 90, because we're living longer, moderation. Don't have your joints twisted all up while you're sleeping. One guy, he sits at his computer 12 hours a day. He leans on his right elbow all the time working on his computer. He has a terrible arthritic right elbow. So people just don't realize what they're doing to themselves until you point it out. So right now, if you're watching the show, you have a bad neck, a bad knee, a bad elbow, you're causing it yourself. We love what we do, but we try to coach you so you can fix yourself. So let's have a great summer. We'll see you next month.